All right, so today is office hour 8, and which means there have been 7 other sessions before today. And the agenda for today is to take you through conditional formatting. And let me bring my mic closer so you can hear me. So today's agenda is to take you through conditional formatting, some useful things you can do with it beyond the ordinary that most of us just check. So you'll be amazed by some of the things I will show you in conditional formatting. So I call it conditional formatting magic. Then dynamic array. Though dynamic array is one of those things that is really new. So it's those of us using the new versions of Excel that will have it. But the things it does is really amazing that you should be aware of it, even if you don't have the new version of Excel. That you are aware of it is it's a mighty good thing, because that way to get a new version of Excel is really cheap anyway. Even if your company does not provide you something that you can even get to some extent or almost free. So you don't let that you don't have it now be the deterrent to you soaking in what we are going to share there. And then if there's any more time for Q&A, we will do that. So are we ready? Okay, so we are getting people joining us gradually. And so we begin. I don't want to waste any more time. So I'm going to start with the conditional formatting magic. I hope you can see my screen clearly and you can hear me loudly. So if you hear me very well and you see my screen, that would be perfect. You can also unmute yourself anytime. You can ask questions. If you want to show something, maybe a different perspective or dimension to what I'm doing, awesome. I'll be very, very happy to turn over the control to you, and because the idea is to have a collaborative learning to be as immersive as possible. So let's start with the conditional formatting. This is one of the tasks that we give participants in our so part of like after training benefits. So when people come for our training and we sign them up for this after training tasks, and so as you can see, this is like task number 6, and I said let me just pick it as what to demo today as one of the things you can use to understand the magic behind conditional formatting. So let's see what we are trying to achieve. So imagine you are a sales manager, and your team, they need to fill in what they are selling. Again, the concept is what I want you to grasp. Don't worry too much about the relevance of this particular story to your own kind of work. So the concept is around the fact that this person has people filling information for him, and sometimes they make mistakes. So now he wants something that will make it flag for him where the mistakes are, so that they can quickly call the person who is responsible, or even when the person is typing it and he sees that the thing is showing yellow, he knows that he has typed rubbish. So it draws his attention to seeing that I need to fix this thing, otherwise, my boss is going to take a stick and hit me on the head. So kind of like you are showing them ahead the issues that you want them to fix so that they don't pass those issues to you. In this case, the issue is that whenever they don't completely fill all the information, you want it to be highlighted. The color is irrelevant, but I chose yellow, right? So which means that originally there was no color in here. So all these things screen is locked. Computer has frozen. This is not a good news. Okay, it has unfrozen. Maybe I will just exit that because that full screen used to the Zoom consumes a lot of system resource. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go turn off, clear the rule. So clear rule from the entire sheet. Yeah. Okay, good. So this is the original. This is what the answer will be like, but let's drag this one away so that you are not distracted. Again, if there is anything, just any questions, any feedback, any stuff, immediately share. You don't have to raise your hand. You can instantly interject. Okay, so let me just be sure I'm recording. Okay, good, I'm recording. So let's do it together. I want wherever the activities, so let me just write it in a big way. I want where records are incomplete to show yellow highlights. So background color will be yellow, right? So that's what I want. And as you can see, the person forgot to put dates. I don't want to manually be coloring it yellow, right? So let's see how we do it, right? I select the entire range. In fact, I will select sometimes as far as I want, but for now, let's just go at one level of knowledge at a time. Let's not complicate things yet, okay? So I select everything, and then if I go to conditional formatting, I hope you can see my screen. At this point, let me try to also increase the zoom. So if I go to conditional formatting, we all know this common one, I like zeros, greater than, less than, between, equal to. Those ones are what we most of the time use and limit ourselves to. But, there's one aspect of it that I want you to start checking out. If you go to new rule, you get some really interesting options, right? And the one I want us to go to is this cells that contain. Now, when you go here, most of the times we just say, oh, I come here, I can choose between, greater than, and you'll be like, this is more like the same thing. This starts to look a lot more like the same options you get when you come here. So most people don't really pay attention to that, place, because they think whatever is there is stuff I could do here. Now let's go back there, and you will see that there is a magic that is hidden from your view on the first time you come here. That magic is here. So this is the magic. This place, huh? If you just change what you have here, if you change what you have here, you will see some amazing options. Can you see that? Specific cell, specific text. It contains dates occurring, blanks, and that's what we're actually looking for, blanks, right? No blanks. It contains errors. So you can highlight things. You can highlight in your table all the cells that have errors, or maybe highlight all the cells that do not have errors, or highlight all the cells that do not have blanks, or highlight all the cells that have blanks. Okay, so in this case, I want to highlight the cells that have blanks. Though, well, let's go one step at a time. Though that's not going to get what I want to do fully, but let's even see what we have, without having to do any complex things. So if I go to fill, and then I pick this highlight in yellow, and I do OK, and I click on OK, see the magic happen, right? It's already highlighting for me all the cells that are empty. So for some people, this might be the experience they want. If this is what I want, then this is the end of it. I don't need to go do anything more. But this thing is about to freeze again. Let me exit the Zoom. So, but I've tried to complicate things for us. I want the entire row to be highlighted. So I don't just want the cell itself to be highlighted. I want the entire row highlighted. So that is what will force me to go and do something a bit more interesting, huh? Okay, so any question at this juncture? Anybody, having some questions? But I hope you're getting me, and I hope it's making sense. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue. So right now we've seen that we can do the one that highlights just the cell, but that's not what I want. So what I want is, let's go back here. Let me bring back the zoom. What I want is not what we have done. What I want is a situation where I say, so let's first clear the rule, or I can even go to manage rule. That's another interesting thing. So I can go to manage rule and say, and check out what I've done before. And yeah, what I've done before was just to say, highlight all the cells that have blanks. And I've said, this is not what we want. We want the one that we highlight the entire row that there is a blank in, so that I'll be able to let the person filling that row to know that you have not given me all the information I need. Okay, so to achieve that, I'm going to have to do a formula that will monitor the entire row for me. I'm going to do the formula, then I'm going to explain the concept of the formula. So this is when you go to formula in conditional formatting, right? So the thing is this: whatsoever you do, once the answer evaluates to true or something that is like greater than like true or a number that is not 0, right? It's going to mark it as somewhere that it should format. So it's going to format wherever the formula evaluates to true anyway. So let's start. I'm going to tell it that I want it to go and check. So I need to change my keyboard to the one that will align with the particular keyboard I'm using. I have 2 keyboards. All right. So, okay. So I'm going to tell it that it should evaluate to where the sum. Again, don't worry, I'm going to re-explain. I just want you to see it work first so that you see the answer, and then we will now understand the flow afterwards. So where the sum of is blank is the formula that checks if, you know, a cell is blank anyway. So I'm going to say is blank for this cell. Okay. Now, because I want the formula to go and do row by row, I'm going to knock off the absolute sign. You know, where this is blank, this will give me, it will give me true for here. Where's my mouse arrow again? So it's going to give me true here. At this juncture, I think I need to go and use my on-screen mouse. So I'm going to, you will not see my screen for some time. I mean, you will not see my face for some time, but anyway, let me finish this one before I do that. I'm going to, so it will evaluate for true. Let me do it just now so that you see what I'm saying. Let me switch back to the keyboard that does that. Turn off the camera. All right, then I go to where you're going to see me annotate my screen. Okay. All right, so back to what I was trying to say. This is going to evaluate to true. We'll come back to it. Yeah, okay. Too much of gadgets can be a problem. Huh? The one I want to use now is not working, but I'll just make do with it. And this is going to evaluate to false. So I'm going to shorten my true and false to letter F and T. So this will be like true and no false. This will evaluate to false because there's something there. This will evaluate to false too because there's something there. This will evaluate to false, right? So what this will turn to will be like a true, comma, false, comma, false, comma, false. They're like 4 false and 1 true. That's what that is blank we evaluate to, right? Now, great. And then I want to sum it. But because I want to sum it in such a way that it will come to a number, if I sum this as it is now, it's only going to come to a number for me. So I need to coerce Excel. So that's what we normally call it. I need to coerce Excel to make that thing become a number. So that's one of the fastest way or easiest way to do that is just to multiply those true and false by 1. So true will change to 1, false will change to 0. So when I now do a summation of that, you will find out that that one that was like true, false, 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 we turn to like 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. And when I sum them together, it will become 1, right? So I'm just telling my formula to check that, okay, as long as this is greater than or equal to 1, right? I could even say as long as it's greater than 0. So let's even say it's greater than 0, which means there is a particular place where it evaluates to true. There's a blank there. So as long as this is greater than 0, then that's all. You know, That's all that is the condition that should be met for this thing to turn to yellow all throughout. So again, I'm going to do it step by step, but let's just see how it works. So I'm going to do OK. And I've done something wrong, huh? So let's go and check what I've done wrong. I've seen what I've done wrong. Let me show you what I've done wrong. See, this is applying, this formula is applying to, let me just drag this here so that you can see it. This is applying to A6 to F33. But when I was typing my formula, I started my formula from A7. So there's a mismatch in my typing and where I started from. So it's either I correct this and change this to say it should start from. So it's even faster to do that one. So I'm just going to say, sorry, you should start from A7, the same place where my formula is starting from. All right, so I'm going to do OK. That should fix that part. Still is looking a bit off. So maybe I should just do it all over. I'm going to redo the entire formula from entire sheet. All right, so I'm going to come here, new rule, contains, come here, no, not contain, formula. We don't contain before now. So formula, and first of all, so that I won't have that issue again, let me select exactly where I want it to apply to, so that I know that I've selected the place I want the formula to apply to. So I want the formula to apply to here, so that way we will not have that problem of mismatch between what we are typing and where the formula is, the conditional formatting is applying. So now I go to the new rule, I go to formula, and the same formula I typed before. Sum is blank, and I pick here. So you see, now I'm ensuring that I'm picking right from the place I started my highlighting. And as usual, I do not want to lock the row so that it can do for every row separately. So now this requires it to change it true and false to zeros and ones and zeros. And then after that, I tell it to, then I now say, as long as this is greater than 0, right, you should then format these as yellow. Okay, and then I do OK. So it's straightforward. The only problem I had that time was I did not select correctly the place I wanted the formula to start from. So now we can see that it's working, right? Let's just look at it. You see that all the places where there were blanks, right? So now, how did I come about the formula? So let's do the breakdown of the formula. This is what the formula is doing. The formula is checking, is blank. It's blank, checking this one. And then if I drag it, you see it does for every single one, right? Let's do up onto the last. But then what you saw me do was I did it for everybody at the same time. So what I did was, instead of doing one by one, I said it's blank, and then I selected all of these at once. So the result is similar, except that now this spills over into like, okay, so great. Then what I now did after is I summed them, but then you remember, let's just say you do not remember, if you sum everything as it is like this, it comes to 0. And it's because of what I said, that if I want truth to become 1 and false to be 0, then I should coerce them, right? Let me show you what I mean by coerce them. You know, if you take this and you multiply by 1, that is what coerces those figures to zeros and ones. So now if I run that sum on these coerced values, right, you will see that it will give me, you know, right? And then this is now what I did the formula against and said, is this greater than 0? And if it evaluates to true, it will highlight the cell. If it does not evaluate to true, it will not highlight the cell. It will not highlight. So that's what we did, right? So let me do everything now in one giant formula, right? So this is it, equal to sum is blank, all of this, and then I multiply by 1 to change the true and false to 1 and zeros, right? Then I now ask, is this greater than 0? So that's what we typed. This is exactly what we typed. The only thing was, okay, this one had a $sign here. So the conditional formatting always put this absolute around. So what we did was we made sure that there was no dollar before the row. So this is exactly what we typed there, right? And can you see if I drag this down, that's what happens. All the places that evaluate to true are colored as yellow. So that's the thing about conditional formatting. If you can craft whatever condition you have into something that will come to a true or false, you can always achieve, any highlighting you want. You can always flag anything that you want to flag. Any question at this stage before I go to something else? Any question? Okay, so let me just check if anybody has typed anything else that I need to be aware of. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next thing I want to show us. Okay. I think I need to mute everybody. So I'm going to mute everybody. You can unmute yourself if you need to say something. All right, so that's it for conditional formatting. The idea is that you have all these interesting options. You have under this cell contain something that lets you to say, I want to highlight blank errors and all of that. So this is one thing I want you to know you have. Okay. Then I also went ahead to show you that if you can craft what you want to do into a formula that evaluates to true and false, then you again can do interesting things, right? So that is done. So I want to go to another one. So the next one I want to go to is Excel sheets. Okay, so let's do this one first. Then we'll come back to, we'll do dynamic array last. All right, so this is again another task we gave our participants in the training, and this is the one we got a whole lot of very interesting answers from people. So I'm going to delete the answers that I have here so that we can all do it together, right? So what's the question about? The question is this, that we should do a formula, right? That allows us to, say, put a sales officer's name, put the branch that we want to monitor for. So we can put like 2 different branches. So this is a case where sales officers, they can be rotated across branches, and so you can check out, maybe it's even a pattern, they move across branches like shifts. So in a week or in a month, one sales officer will have recorded sales across more than one branch. And then you can pick a month. And so you want these things to be dynamic, such that I can come here, pick a different salesperson, pick a different branch, and even pick a different second branch, pick a different month, and the answer will always compute to give me for that person, for those branches and that month, right? So for something like this, a lot of people will be like, Vlookup, sum if, so let us see what the different problems we will face will be when we use all those common formulas, so that you will know that there will be situations you will have that you'll have to use a particular formula different from the ones that normally come to our mind when we are faced with this kind of a lookup scenario. You are looking for how much this person has sold, based on some given conditions. So on our marks, are we set? Let's start with Vlookup. So Vlookup, which is what pretty much everybody thinks about the first time they encounter a situation like this. Let me just see. So Vlookup says, okay, so what are you looking for? So this is where there begins to be some problem. Are you going to say you're looking for Aduba Adeshinwa? Or are you going to say you're looking for Adamawa? So you see, because Lookup only looks for one thing at a time, you are not able to put in all of these conditions. So the moment you have more than one condition, so Vlookup fails for more than one lookup condition.
Lecture, okay, video content.
Yeah, video.
Lecture online.
All right, so Vlookup fails when you have more than one lookup condition, which in this case, that's it. And the other thing is, even at the end, we want to sum up. Vlookup cannot sum up. Cannot sum up. Right? So if what you want is a kind of summation, total sales, then just forget about Vlookup. If in a situation where you are not summing up and you have more than one condition, sometimes what some people do is they chain things so they can come up here and create a lookup check, a lookup column. In fact, most of the time you want to create it at the beginning, and then they will now be like, let's concatenate things. So let's add the condition 1, add it to condition 2, and they will now use that to create one giant condition that you can use for Vlookup. Yes, that's a workaround. So I'm just showing you in case you've seen people do that. Okay, but let's go ahead. Another thing people think about is sum if. So let's do sum ifs, since we have more than one condition. So sum ifs will say, let's do the FX so that we are able to see, and let me zoom. So what are we summing up together? That's where you begin to have some problem, I know in this case, I want to sum up the March figures, right? So let's just say you are not aware that that's a problem. And you say, okay, I want to sum up March figures. Okay, question number 1 sorted. So what's the condition number 1, criteria 1? Well, so criteria 1 is where the sales officer is at Dubai or wherever is selected here. So criteria range is where the sales officer. So where the sales officer is what? The way the sales officer is this particular person. Okay. Then criteria range 2, branch 1. So we'll be like, where the branch, and then you'll be like, how do I capture 2 branches? Well, you can just select the 2 branches. So that's one interesting thing. Excel allows you to do that. So you can just select that as long as it's one of these 2 branches, right? So if you select the 2 branches, it will capture, if it's Adamawa and if it's Benue, so it will sum up all the sales for both Adamawa, then also separately Benue for that sales officer. So with this, you'll be like, yeah, this should have done it. This should get for us what we want to do. Okay, so let's go check it out. Let's click on OK. And it's spilling. You know why it is spilling? It's spilling to 2 rows because we have selected 2 branches. So Adamawa, the person has 49 sales, whereas for Benue, he has no sales, right? So let's go and check out what we have done anyway. Let's see. Let's look for Aduba. So I'm going to just plug in a filter here, so it will make it faster. So Adamawa and Benue, right?
So I plug in a filter, I look for Aduba. Yeah, I've seen him. I had him up. Then Adamawa and Benue. Adamawa and Benue. So that's why he doesn't have Benue. There's no sales for Benue. And so you find out for March he has 49, but because he has no records for Benue, you know, let us pick where he has record for, like Bayelsa. So if I pick Adamawa and Bayelsa, so that is like 53 and 49. Let's just memorize that. 53 and 49, right? So let us clear the filter. If you clear the filter, 53, 49, 53, 49, let us memorize 53, 49, 53, 49. Let's change this Benue to Bayelsa, and let us check if we will see 53 and 49. Can you see 53, 49? Okay, so now you understand how it is working. If you want it all in one formula, then you just have to wrap it up in a sum formula and say it should sum them up, right? Okay, so now the problem is if you change this month, to May, our friend here does not know, is still looking for May, for March. So you either have to manually come here and change it. So every time you change the month, you have to manually change something in the formula, right? So it's not the perfect solution we are looking for. So the perfect solution we want is, so let's do the perfect solution. Maybe so that I can share this with us in the end. I'm going to do that one here. So the perfect solution is something that we can achieve with some product. So some product is the formula that allows you, if you've taken our training, you would have seen this in one of your lectures. So this should be like a refresher for you. So some product allows, you know, multi-condition aggregation. I don't want to say lookup, or let's say /lookup. So you can look up for things that their conditions are many, so you can look it up. It can also do aggregation. So if it's just to pick one value, yeah. If it's to pick, like, sum up all the values too, it can do that. So that's why, and it doesn't have the restriction that we are facing with the sum if. Sum if your condition is horizontally listed, sum if is powerless. But when your conditions are like vertically listed, you know, like all the branches are listed vertically, all these ones are listed vertically, sum if will work. But when it is a situation where you're looking for ones that are listed horizontally, sum if will not capture that. So let us do it some product. Some product. So some product is that formula that can capture multiple conditions for you seamlessly. So some product, let's start chaining the conditions now. Let's start with condition 1, sales officer. So I pick all the sales officer names, right? So you've seen what I've done. I will say where it's equal to the sales officer we are after. So I'm looking for records that the sales officer, this is a lot, so let me just quickly scroll up. So where the sales officer is equal to Aduba Adeshiwa. So that's one condition. I'm going to keep it in its own bracket. So the trick is I'm going to multiply it by another condition. So I'm going to say, okay, multiply by where the branch. So I'm going to do likewise for branch is equal to this branch, right? Again, I could have said the 2 branches, but let's keep things easy. Let's do condition at a time. I do again, the branch is equal to let me just do it all over again. I've mixed up something there. Some products, bracket, the first condition is equal to is equal to this, right? Times condition of here equal to, now this is at this place, we need to fix it instantly, is equal to either this or this. So how do we do that? How do we say is equal to this one or that one? Okay, so it's a plus we will do. So I'm going to say now this one, because that times is like and, but now we want or, is if the branch is equal to Adamawa or is equal to, so for or is plus. Okay, is equal to, I know this might look like a really complex example to use, but once you understand the concept, I can give you another of my video that explains it in a simpler example. But at least you want to know that when you have situations like this, use some product. Okay, so then we still have one more condition, which is times where the months are equal to, so where the month is equal to the month I'm after. So this is where this beats the sum if. Some if couldn't do this horizontal search, whereas some product can do it. And then now where all these conditions are met, it should go and grab for us the figures that, you know, are there. Okay, and this is the end of it all. I'm going to just close my last bracket. If I do enter, this will get me. So let's shift this back to May, and you see that I'm getting the same figure as I got for this one that I was doing for May. The problem is that when I shift this to a different month like May, right? This one I will have to manually come here and shift it to May in my formula before it will pick it, whereas this is always picking it correctly. So that is the advantage I get with using some product. So any question at this stage, let me get for you the YouTube video on, if you are still confused, how you can easily, my YouTube video that explains some products in with a simpler example anyway. So I'm going to go to my YouTube channel, look for some products. Just praise. Well, this is what I will do. You just go and scroll through because of time. I don't know how far I need to scroll before I'll come across it. But you can just go to that my channel. I'm going to post the link here now. Once you go there, once you go here, the video, and if you are taking our courses already, you don't even need to, it's one of the things you would have covered in business data analysis part 2 now. So you don't have to go and be searching through YouTube. Okay. All right. So, and I'm going to go to the last bit, which I saved the most interesting for last anyway. So you're going to be glad that you stayed to this end here, you stayed this far. So have you not had situations where, you know, you want to, I'm going to zoom really big. You want to create drop-down lists. So I want to create a drop-down list. Now I want you to select option, and in this select option, if I go to data, I go to data validation, I go to data validation again, I go to, so let me zoom. So I go to data validation again, and I go to lists, and I say, okay, these are the different options I want people to pick from. I do okay. Now, the problem is that this thing keeps repeating itself. So we need to fix that. So I also want you to now select sub category. So if you select option 1, then you will be able to select 1 to 3 as subcategory. If you select option B, then I want this to be the only options you will have in subcategory. Again, that's a problem that many of us encounter a lot, that how can I do a data validation here that will be dependent on what somebody has picked here. So if you pick option A here, then the options that will be here will be dependent on, will be reflective of what is applicable to option A. How do we do that? Are you ready? So let's start with the first one. So the first one is how we even fix this one of, I don't want you to always be seeing all these things reflecting again and again. So I want a formula that will always just show me the unique values. So that brings us to a formula called unique. Unique. We've done it in one of the sessions, office hour, before now, but this is we can never overuse it. So we are using it in a different scenario now. So which means, see, this will always give me the unique list. In fact, I can decide to put it on a longer list, but for now, no worries. So what do? If I'm doing my data validation, that is what I will let my data validation to reference. So my data validation, I'm going to say, you know what? I need you to reference. This here, right? And now the thing about dynamic array is that you don't even have to, because now if there is option C, this thing will expand. So if I stopped at here now, and then I change one of these options to option C, you will find out that it's now, this has instantly spilled to option C, right? But in my stuff here, it will not reflect it. So this is what you want to do. Whenever you pick on a dynamic array item, it always shows this. Can you see this named range here? It will always show as this. So if you use this, instead of using the E4 to E6, you will always get the benefit of the spill. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go back here to the data validation, and then I will say you should use the spill. So you should use the E4 spill is hash. So once I do that, now I get that advantage. If I change this back to B and this has collapsed back to A and B, guess what? So this is always expanding and contracting appropriately. Okay, so now that we've done that part, what about the subcategory? So I want to do a conditional formatting that will say, if you pick option A, then these are the options that should reflect. If you pick option B, right? So are we ready? So let me do it somewhere. Okay, let's do it here so that I'm able to show everything all in the same one screen. So there's a formula called filter. So filter allows me to say, you know what? I want you to filter this array for me. And what I want you to get, no, this one. Filter this one for me, right? And what I want you to get for me is where it is option A. So where, these options here are equal to the option my user has selected here. Okay, are you getting what I'm doing? Did you see what I've done? You see what? It brings that one out, right? So this is now what I want to reflect here. And if you remember what we said, Now, whenever you select this, it will always show you this icon, right? So let's do that. So I'm just going to come here, go to data validation, and pick lists, and I can do what we've said. I say here, right? But remember the concept, put the pound sign so that it will spill. It will always correctly spill it. That's why it's called dynamic array. So I will do OK. And from this day onwards, this will always reflect the options the person has picked. So if you come in here and you say option B, voila, from this moment on, these are the options you will get. Okay, so is that clear? Anybody confused? Anybody okay with what I've done? Any questions about this one? This is the last trick I'm showing for today's session. So anyone has a question about this? Are you all getting it then? So I'm going to give you this Excel sheet so that you can try it on your own. So I'm going to call this Office Hour 8 drop down, dynamic drop down. Dynamic drop downs or dynamic lists, whatever, or list if that's what you prefer. So I'm going to save this and share the link, the sheets link now. Any question, any contribution? We are wrapping up. So if you are interested in Power BI, there's going to be another session on Power BI at 6 o'clock. I'm going to share the link for you to join. So I'm going to just, I don't want you to be able to edit so that people don't go and model it up for others. So I'll just copy this link. And then someone is saying, will it validate? Can you show the validation formula again? Okay, I will show the validation formula. This is the file link for the data validation. So you can also be able to check it out yourself. Then the other one I did, before that, this one, let me just also show you the link, give you the link for this one so that you can practice on your own. Okay, yeah, this one. So let me save as into OneDrive. So those of you who have not registered for our training, you are getting the benefits that is supposed to be for those who have registered, but nothing bad about it. The larger the merrier. So let me grab for you the share link for this one. So again, I don't want you to be able to edit it so that nobody goes and model of the original version. So this is for the some products. Then for the conditional formatting one, let me go grab that one too. So for the conditional formatting, then I'm going to get the share link. I don't want you to be able to edit the original version. Copy the link. Then paste for us the conditional formatting. Right. So back to the questions. Kindly show the validation formula again. Because I'm running out of time, let me just quickly post the other things I should have posted for everyone. So if you're interested in the Power BI that will happen afterwards, this is the joining link for the Power BI one. That will happen at 6 p.m. So I think we'll try to finish off what we started last week in Power BI. Power BI, community, and meetup. What other thing? If you're interested in our free courses, so if you, and also paid one too, we have some free one. There are some free one you can register for. If you see, let me just even go to all. There's some free courses. If you go to view all courses, that should show up the free courses. So there are some free courses, and if you want to pay for courses too, you can. So you might be fortunate that the free one is enough to do what you want. All right, so now let's tackle the questions you've asked. I should do it again. So let me do it again. Let me just zoom my screen. All right, so select option. Now in this select option, right, I want it to be a unique list of all the options I have here. So let us do this thing for like states and capital in Nigeria then. So let's see. I'm going to go and grab states and capital in Nigeria from, I have one already opened up here. Okay, so state and local government. Okay, so let's use this then. At least this is a bit interesting, huh? It's really long. So you select a state in Nigeria, and based on that, you will be able to pick the local government that is only available in those states. Okay, so is that not going to look interesting, huh? Maybe I should even do something interesting. Let us grab it from the URL so that we don't have to copy and paste manually. So I'm going to grab from the URL. So in this stage, I need to unzoom my screen. So I'm going to create a new sheet so that we can do this on this new sheet here. So I'm going to tell Excel that I want to grab from web. So when I click from web, we demoed this last week. So those of you who want to understand how to do some of this Power Query stuff, we did it last week. So if you watch the video, I'm sorry I've not yet posted the video. I'll post it, but just make sure you are in the community so you get the link of the video. So the moment I put in the URL, right, and then I click OK, it's going to go and grab all that are in that website for me, and I'm going to say I'm only interested in the list of state and local governments. Okay, so let's see how that comes up. So you will see a lot of things, and you will know the one you want when you see it. So obviously this is the one I want, the list of local governments. So now that I've done that I've seen the one I want, what do? I say load, right? So when I say load, if I want to transform it, I could have gone to transform, but for now, I'm not interested. I want us to focus on something more interesting. So let's just bring it as it is. So this brings for me the local government and the states, right? So now what do I want to do? I want you to be able to select a state. So select, so let me see what is your state of origin. So state of origin, and based on what you select, you will get the option of local government of origin. Okay, so let's see how this works out. I've already told us that because the states will be, the states are going to be showing up too many times, right? So what do I want? I want a unique list of the states. So unique list of the states. So unique list of the states. Okay, so that is what I'm going to put in here. So this is going to be like data validation, list, and remember what I said. Don't select everything. If you select everything, we are going to have problem that it will not expand and collapse as you want. So what do? Select the first and put a pound sign in front of it. So that way, make sure that it's selecting the entire thing for you, even when it expands or it collapses. It's called dynamic array. Okay. So once I do that, are we clear with that part? Once I do this and I say okay, I'm going to have a drop down here now that will always allow me to pick the states, right? Let me just expand the column so that the states will show completely, right? So now you can pick any state that you are from. If I'm from Ogun State, I pick Ogun State. Now I want you to be able to select your local government based on the state you have chosen. So here we only show the local government in Ogun State. And I said that brings us to another interesting formula called filter. So filter, I will say filter the local government array. Local government, yeah. So filter the local government. Now, based on where the choosing state is equal to the states, or based on where all the state is equal to the choosing state. So that way it will only pick the local government that are in the choosing state. Okay, and then I close the brackets. Okay, so that's what we did the other time too. Okay, and then I do enter, and instantly this will give me the state in the local government in Ogun State. All right, and what do I do? Just so that you will know, if you pick a different state, so I'm from Ondo State, it's like this thing is not even sorted. So let us even do something interesting. Let's tell it to sort. So I can come in here and even say sort. I can say you should sort everything. Just sort, you know, just wrap it in sort, and voila, it will sort it. So that way, you know, I can have a sorted list. So mine is on those states, and you will see, I will see all the, in fact, this is my local government right here, Iloluji. So that's it. If you pick your own state too, you will see your local government. How come Ogun State has more local government than Ogun State? That's cheating. I guess it's because those guys are always getting into presidency and politics more than us. So, that's by the way anyway. So if I go here and I do the data validation, and I pick lists, and as usual, instead of me selecting the entire thing manually, you pick the first one and just add a pound sign, or hash as we call it here. So hash, add the hash sign. Okay, and you do OK, and from this moment onwards, it will only show the local government in that state. So clear? So now I've done it twice. I'm guessing that should help us to fully grasp it. So that is it for today. I just want to say one interesting thing before we round off. By the way, I hope you enjoyed today's session. If you have any question, anything yet. So can you see something on my own Excel? Are you seeing this part under data? So last week, those of you that joined last week class, I was trying to demo this. Now you now have this organizational data type. Now let me tell you how it works. So me, in my company, we have gathered companies on stock exchange. So you know what this makes possible is the fact that if there's any company you're interested in, so let's say you want to buy Nestle or you want to buy MTN shares, right? You can pick them. You can pick Nestle and say, okay, I want to see what is the share. I want to see the stock data for Nestle. When I pick Nestle and I click on organization here, it will go and get me all the details about Nestle's stock price and all of that, and just wait for it. It will come up. Please don't disappoint. It disappointed me last week. Yeah, it's not disappointing today. So see, I can pick anything I'm interested in. I can be like, you know what? Get me what the stock price is, and it gets it for me. And I can do likewise for MTN. You know, I can say, get me what is the, maybe I want to see the dividend yield. I hope I have dividend yield. I don't have. I want to see the price to earning ratio. I want to see the earning per share. What other things do people like to see? Okay, what price did it close at the last trading? What price? What change? Did it go up? Did it go down in the last trading? So it didn't go up. It didn't go down the last trading session. And I can do likewise for him for another company. I can type in here another company, or I can even just straight away do for MTN and pick those same thing, pick price. So because this is what I have for. Some people, what they do this for is for their clients or data in their ERP or some other things that is more interesting to them than what I'm doing. Okay. All right, so you get the whole idea. So last week I showed it, but somehow it didn't demo completely, and now suddenly it's working fine. Okay, that's demo for us. So thank you very much. Any questions so far? So I'm going to end here because I need to go and prepare for the Power BI one. So if you're interested in the Power BI one, Power BI class will be 6 p.m. So see you 6 p.m. today. See you next week for those of you that, you know, you are not interested in Power BI. So Excel again next week. Have a nice rest of the week. Have a nice week ahead. All right, so bye-bye. And we end it here. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir.